Okay, I'm gonna be honest. It's a scary time. It's a really scary time and I am scared. Hey guys, what's up? It's Imurgency and welcome back to my channel. Today we are here and we're talking about Euphoria, actually, surprisingly. And I honestly didn't think I'd be talking about this show specifically until season 3 comes out, but I've also heard some news that's been a little troubling, a little scary, if you will, and I just needed someone to talk to about it because I'm kind of scared for the future of Euphoria. If you have not heard the recent slew of news and speculation about season 3, first off, Barbie Ferreira, aka Kat in Euphoria, is not coming back for season 3. She has officially left the cast. And according to the costume designer of season 3, there is likely going to be a 5-year time jump from where we left off. So Euphoria will no longer be placed in a high school. And I have some concerns and some thoughts about that, which we're gonna get into in this video. And mostly, I'm just really concerned because with Sam Levinson, you never really know what you're going to get. So yeah, we have a lot to unpack, we have a lot to talk about. So sit back, grab a snack, and let's talk about this a little bit more. And if you're new around here, hey, I'm Rumi. I cover all things TV, pop culture, commentary, fashion. I even do tier lists. I do it all around here, so if any of that content sounds interesting to you, then make sure to subscribe so that you're not missing out on any of it. Also, while you're at it, if you could leave a like in this video because it helps out a lot with the YouTube algorithm to make sure we get as many people plugged into this conversation as possible. And then also for brownie points, if you want to follow me on my other social medias, they're all at Imurgency. That's Instagram, TikTok, and Twitter. I've been trying to step up my own little fashion, my own little aesthetic over on my other socials, so you might want to go check those out. Just saying. But let's talk about what's going on with Euphoria. So if you've seen season 2 of Euphoria and have been plugged in with the happenings while that season was in production, you'd know that Barbie Ferreira, aka Kat Hernandez on Euphoria's scenes were heavily cut and she pretty much was not a part of the season. Like the amount of screen time that she had this season was pretty abysmal and the storylines that she did have just were not great. So honestly, it was not super surprising to hear that for season 3, given the different directions that her character was taking, that she would choose to step away from the show for season 3. And initially it was said that there was like some kind of beef going on set between Sam Levinson and Barbie. But recently Barbie has come out to sort of clear the air about everything that went on, and it was a mutual decision and that there were no viable storylines for Kat to fit into the show as it progressed. And Barbie's quoted in saying that, "I don't think that there was a place for her to go. I really wanted to be able to not be the fat best friend." Which is super real because I feel like that is what her character was being reduced to. Like most of her scenes revolved around the whole drama between Cassie and Maddie and her just being the supportive friend. And the only scenes that she did get that I can really remember that were solely her was like the toxic positivity scene where like all those different girls in her imagination were telling her to like love herself. And then the scene where she's breaking up with her boyfriend and says that she has a brain tumor, which again, were not amazing scenes in their own right. But I think that it's really sad that they believe that the show has progressed past Kat when really, you know, I don't think that it necessarily did. I think it really comes down to the writing, because if you want to add a character to a show, you can write a character into the show. If we're being honest, it's not like the plot necessarily moved forward a whole bunch in season 2. Like in reality, you can argue that things happened in maybe 3 episodes, but the rest of it was kind of just like getting to know the characters and just having things bubble under. And I feel like it would not have been hard to write Kat a storyline that would have made sense in the Euphoria universe. And Barbie sort of talks about this a little bit more in the interview. This article states that though Sam and Barbie were for the most part on the same page regarding what was best for Kat, Sam writes for things that he relates to, and according to Barbie, and in quote, "I don't think he relates to Kat. I like Kat, so I get to go on my own path." Which kind of makes it seem that like Kat could have had a good character, Kat could have been more involved in the show. But because Sam is limited by his own perspective and like what he knows and can relate to, because of the way that Kat was developing, he just couldn't progress her in the story. Which I mean, if that is so much of an issue, get other people in the writer's room, like get other people on Euphoria's script that have a variety of different experiences, and this is why diversity in the writer's room matters so much. Like because Sam is like the showrunner and like the head writer of the show and has been known to keep Euphoria as like his baby, that kind of limits the amount of experiences that can really be talked to and really delved into, which is really unfortunate because Euphoria is such an amazing show that tells so many different stories that teens and young adults are meant to relate to. So just because, you know, one white man can't relate to it, or know how to tell the story well, doesn't mean that it shouldn't be included entirely. It just means that you need to get other people in the writer's room, babes. And it's really such a shame because I feel like she was such an interesting character in season 1 and could have gone so many different places, especially given the more recent news of there being a potential time jump in Euphoria season 3. Now this, when I heard this news, I initially saw it on Twitter and was like, oh, interesting. Was not expecting there to be a 5-year time skip after the events of season 2 because it definitely did not give that they could do a 5-year time skip because all the characters seem very much caught up in the moment. Like Fez is going to jail, Rue owes money to a drug dealer, Cassie, Maddie, and Nate have things that they definitely need to work out, police reports need to be made, and we need some fallout from the fight. So I'm just really confused as to how they're going to execute a 5-year time skip because after 5 years, none of them are in high school anymore, which is going to be interesting and also is an easy way to explain away Kat's character because the characters are all going to be in their early 20s. Like I think if some of them are 17, they're going to be like 22, 23, 24 type beat, which is actually pretty iconic because like that's around my age. So I can appreciate them kind of growing up with us. So it's not like with their infrequent production cycle that I'm gonna be like pushing 30 by the time they get to like season 4 or something. But I will say when I first heard this news, my mind did race to the Riverdale comparisons. And this is an issue because if you have not seen Riverdale or familiar with Riverdale, I forget which season they initially did it, but like Riverdale decided randomly one season that they were going to have a 7-year time skip and take the kids from high school to being in their mid to late 20s, and that just didn't really transfer over well, and I feel like after that point Riverdale was actually kind of dead. Like the show was unserious to begin with, but the unseriousness really did kick up after that time skip because I feel like the showrunners felt like they can get into and do anything at that point. So I was just a little shocked. So being compared to Riverdale is never really a great thing. But this time skip overall could mean multiple things that I'm kind of worried about. First and foremost is that it could mean that season 3 most likely will not be the final season, or at least I'd be shocked if they somehow made that the final season, because I feel like if they're going to introduce a time jump like this and completely change every single character and age up every character and progress their character so much over 5 years, because 5 years is a long time, that's half a decade. Like me 5 years ago is a completely different person than me now. Like you can actually go and check the YouTube videos. I have videos up from 5 years ago. We're different people. And to have that much change and try and introduce a plot and get people engaged to like understand and see what the world is like now, as well as giving each of the characters enough development, I just really don't think that they can do all that and then tie it on the entire series in just 8 episodes, because I feel like it's not going to be more than 10 episodes for season 3. And I'd be shocked if they'd be able to introduce and conclude all of that in just 8 episodes. Because just look at season 2, there were so many loose ends and different plot points left open, and I'd be damned if they just explained all of the stuff that had happened before away in like a recap episode, like the first episode being like, oh, this is what happened in 5 years, and it's just like Rue narrating all the plot that we could have seen be played out. Like I would have been sick. If they do go the time jump route, I think that's likely what they might do just for the sake of time, but I'm gonna be sick because I want to see a brawl. I want to see Rue on the run. I want to see Maddie's healing era. I want to see her find someone new. I want to see some revenge. I want to see her get her lick back because Maddie was beaten down bad season 2. And I don't think that little play brawl necessarily got justice for all the wrong that was done for her. But like, I need to see her get her lick back again on Cassie. I need to see her get her lick back on Nate especially. Like I need to see charges being pressed, or I need to see her on her femme fatale bull, because we need it. We honestly need it. The time jump also kind of makes me nervous because like we've said, at this point, they're all gonna be in their 20s, which means that they're all gonna be legal adults, which means that there's more of a chance for them to be, as I like to say, Sam Levinson. Like just think of all that the show's done to Cassie in season 1 and season 2, having her be a high schooler. Like I am scared to see what they're going to get into once they're all adults. I don't have to worry about the different think pieces and videos and reviews talking about how the show's weird for over-sexualizing high schoolers. Like now that they're adults, I am scared. I really am scared. Like Sydney girl, look at that contract and put in some clauses with some limits, because with Sam Levinson, you really don't know what you're getting into. And based on what I've heard is happening with the Idol right now, yeah, I'd take another look at those contracts and renegotiate, maybe get a different salary tier or add in those clauses, because I'm afraid. I really am. Yeah. And really overall, I'm just nervous about how they're going to take the show if they do go the route of the 5-year time jump, because the plot is shaky. Because what's going to happen? there really is no clue as to what's gonna happen. Like I said, we have so many loose ends and so many different ways that we could go, but 5 years is such a long time that it's just like, what's going on? We still don't know what happened to Rue with Lori. We don't know if Nate and Cassie stayed together. We don't know how Lexi and Cassie are doing post-play. We don't know what's going on with Fez, if he's in jail or not, if Ashtray actually survived or not, if Lexi's still a thing, like if Lexi's holding it down while Fez is in the clink. Like we need answers. And side note, I think it would be a severe missed opportunity if we did not get a Fez special episode of him in the clink, if he does go to the clink, like of his time in there, in between the time jump. Like I feel like that would be such good content. But yeah, and also, where is McKay? We still don't know where this man is. He appeared for 1 second in season 2, got violated by Nate, and then left. If we're jumping 5 years, we better see more of McKay because I miss my man. I miss my Black King. Like Elliot isn't doing it for me anymore. Like I'm really just nervous to see how things are gonna pan out. But I won't be obtuse and just focus on the negative, because also having this time jump does present a lot of different opportunities for the show to grow and do things that I'm kind of interested in and expand past what we've known so far. And one of those opportunities is that, like I said before, these characters are going to be 22, 23, in their early 20s, which is on one hand going to be really cool because I feel like they're gonna be closer in age to a lot of the audience that was around for season 1. Because season 1 came out when a lot of Gen Z was in high school. And now all these years later, a lot of Gen Z is no longer in high school and is either in college and is either about to graduate high school or has just recently graduated from college and is in that early adulthood life. So I feel like there definitely is like that whole aspect of like growing up with a show and having that relatability factor there, which could be interesting if they do it right. And it could also be an opportunity for them to do something really cool and give us some actual decent, innovative early adulthood content. Because I feel like that's a definite gap in terms of just storytelling for like an age group, because I feel like there's either high school, college is getting there, not really, it's still kind of sparse over there, but like that early adulthood stage for Gen Z specifically is like a pretty much untapped market. Like there aren't many shows, a lot of media that really talks about that period of time. Like before you have a serious partner, before you're making a ton of money and have like a really solid career or job, before you have kids, where you're still young and figuring out this whole world that has just been opened up to you. And I feel like that section of life outside of being severely underrepresented in media could be so interesting because you're old enough to have access to everything in the world, but young enough to not really know what to do with any of it and still have sort of like leeway in terms of making stupid decisions because you're still technically coming of age as an adult. Like it'd be weird if they did what Riverdale did and put them in their like mid to late 20s to early 30s, where some of the shenanigans that they get into would be kind of weird because like you have a fully developed brain at that point. Like you've had the final system update up here, you've hit 25, why are you still acting like this? So I feel like there's a lot of potential for some really great storytelling and for some really great representation in that sphere. I just hope that after the time jump that no one is married because I am gonna be so upset. Like if we jump and Nate and Cassie are married, I'm turning off the show. I'm kidding, I will still be tuned in. I will very much be tuned in, but I will be heavily disappointed. And another pro for this is that we might get even better performances from the cast because the characters that they play will be closer in age to the actual actors and to actual lived experiences that they've had, which will make it easier and more relatable for them to pull on things from their own lives and from their own experiences and put it into their work. Because yes, actors can, in theory, play any role and great actors can like fill different age groups. Like it takes a certain talent for like a 25-year-old to play like a 17-year-old, but there is some kind of dissonance made there. Look at me using big words. I can't tell you if I used it correctly, but just pretend like I did. Between playing a character when you are in your like mid to late 20s, that is 17 because it's been a long time since you've actually been that age and actually been a part of that group. So it takes a little bit more studying to understand like what's really going on with that age group. But like when you age them up and they're closer in age, you kind of get a feel for like what the vibe is, like what it's giving to be like a 22-year-old, 23-year-old in America or like in the world right now, which is another interesting thing because I'm thinking like if they're jumping 5 years in advance, they'd technically be in the future because Euphoria was supposed to take place like, it was supposed to be coinciding with like reality, right? Or at least I think so. Like they were either in 2020 or 2021, right? I think. Maybe 2022. But like if they're jumping 5 years and it's coming out in 2024, they're going to be in at least like 2027 if season 2 was taking place in 2022. So that will be interesting. They can play with a little bit more like of a futuristic-y sort of mindset because, you know, they can explain some things away by being like, oh, it's the future, you know, we're just ahead of the time, whatever. But yeah, I feel like them aging up slightly could unlock some interesting potential. But yeah, I have to say that overall my main worry really does lie in the writing of season 3. And mostly with Sam Levinson, I'm not gonna lie. And I'm thinking about making a whole video about Sam Levinson and what I like to call the Sam Levinson effect on shows. And just more so about him as a showrunner and like the good and the bad and the ugly, about what we've seen so far about the shows that he creates and how he chooses to portray characters and use actors in different shows. But I wanted to wait until like his new show, The Idol, comes out, the one that he's doing at the weekend, because I wanna see how that pans out and how that's directed and written to really see if there's some similarities there. So if you're excited for that kind of video and want to see that kind of video, let me know in the comments, and also subscribe so that you don't miss when it comes out. But a quick preview, cliff notes of what will be in that video, we'll talk about here. Sam Levinson has heavy influence in the shows that he runs and is oftentimes the only writer in the room for the shows. Like, he treats Euphoria like his baby. He is the only one writing for this show, which oftentimes ends up being a not so great thing, like we were mentioning before with his whole thing with Barbie and not really being able to like incorporate her character into the evolving plot because he can't really speak to that experience or really know how to tell that story. And it's really evident with the way that Euphoria at least is made, and that the show is written by a man and it's coming from a man's perspective. Just in the way that the characters are written and the way that things pan out, especially with the characters that are women. Like I just think of like how Cassie is borderline exploited on this show. And like for season 1, I give him credit because season 1 was actually decently written. Like I really enjoyed season 1, but he's also the man who solely wrote season 2. And season 2 was amazing as well, but it definitely had its issues. Like so many different plot holes, so many different characters were just left by the wayside for the sake of this love triangle plot that was pushed through. And I've also heard some rumors that that was because of some other cast drama where he had to like rewrite the show and like remake it and have different character interactions because of like some cast drama that was going on. But I'm just interested and kind of worried to see how this is going to progress just with a time jump. Like, is this time jump just an excuse to wrap up all those loose ends in just like a recap episode and then just move on and start from square one? Or is he actually going to take those plot lines and do something with them for in season 3? I just really wish he'd let other people be involved with the writing of the show. Like even if it's just like the cast allowing their input into the show and adding that diversity of perspective, I feel like would enhance the show, just because we'd be getting different ideas and experiences. So it's not just one man's headcanon for like how the show will be. There have been rumors and tales and whispers about Zendaya actually being more involved in season 3. She said that she's supposed to direct an episode in season 3 because she didn't get to in season 2, which is really exciting here because just based off of Euphoria's history, some of the most intriguing and thought-provoking episodes in terms of just like character development and just writing came from episodes where Sam let other people take the reins a little bit. Like my mind immediately races to the special episodes, like especially Jules's episode, because Hunter Schafer had some co-writing credits on that actual episode and was able to really offer input and do things specific for her character because it's similar to her own life experience. So having that there made it even more impactful and really it made you understand Jules just so much more. So I hope that moving forward, he sort of does loosen the reins a little bit and let some other people in the room with him, like unlock those doors, Sam, open a window or something. Let someone else at least breathe in the writing room. But yeah, overall, I feel like season 3 of Euphoria is going to be fine. At least I'm hoping that it's going to be fine. I'm really looking forward to it. They're supposed to start filming a little bit later this year, which means that we're going to be getting season 3 at some point in 2024 next year, which I'm super excited about. But I just hope that things improve and don't deteriorate and go down the Riverdale route. But now I want to hear from you. What do you think? Did you know about this time jump happening? What do you think is going to happen in the time jump? Do you think it's going to go well? I want to hear all of your thoughts in the comments below. Thanks so much for watching. Again, if you enjoyed the content, don't forget to subscribe and leave a like on this video and follow me on my social site, Imurgency. But other than that, y'all, I've been Imurgency and I'll see you in the next video. Peace.